Welcome to How to Fall Asleep Like a Baby. My name is Vulcan and tonight I have a story as it relates to how to fall asleep like a baby at night that is connected to Mahatma Gandhi and his salty trick. So what is this salty trick? Well, this was back in the 1930s. And by the way, my agenda for this whole episode tonight, I don't have any idea how long it's gonna go over. You can probably check it out. Now that you're seeing this video, you have an idea. Is it 10 minutes? Is it 20 minutes? My agenda for our episode, most importantly, is this. You and I to have a good time together as I tell you this story about Mahatma Gandhi and I share maybe a little bit about myself. And we see how it goes from there. And remind me, if I forget for a moment, remind me to bring things back to sleep and how to get a good, normal, restful sleep so that you wake up refreshed in the morning and not drought and not feeling like shit and like you're in survival mode all day long going through a hell of a day. So you're gonna remind me, correct? Good. So let's get started. So this was back in the 1930s in India. You and me are going to India, baby, and the British, they were in India at that time. They were the invaders of India, and they had a law on India that said they cannot make any salt. Now, that was a problem because a lot of Indians, they were hungry. All they had to eat the entire day was one of these. Can you see this? A Subway sandwich. All they had was bread, and it didn't even had cheese or ham or anything. It didn't even had a wrap. Sometimes they would just get it however they got it. So all they had to eat was bread and salt. That was it for the poor there. And if they could not make their own salt, they had to buy the British salt, which was much more expensive. They could not afford it. And what it meant? Well, do you know how long the human body can go without salt? I checked that. Our body can go without salt as long as we can go without water, meaning 2-3 days, and then a person is dead without salt. So this was a law that Gandhi, he wanted to remove from India. He wanted to remove the Britons from India altogether, but at least the law, that would have been a good starting point. Can you see that? Yes, it would have been kind of like removing all those negative thoughts that you might be having during the nighttime as you try to fall asleep. If you can get rid of that, that would definitely be of help of getting into normal restful sleep, wouldn't it? I agree, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. So Gandhi. So what did Gandhi do? Here was his plan. He decided to go on a march to defy the British law, to go on a peaceful protest, so to say. We call it a peaceful protest nowadays. So on March 12th, he went on a march. A march on a march. It rhymes, so it's nice. And during that march, he went 4 days through the streets in India. But there was a little bit of a problem very soon. He noticed that there were cops on both sides of the streets, kind of looking at him, holding their big black sticks, kind of going like this. Not overtly threatening him, but just their presence was enough to scare Gandhi a little bit. Gandhi, this was not a 20-year-old energetic Gandhi. This was 60-year-old Gandhi. He was weak, he was old, and you know what happens if somebody takes a black stick, a black metal stick, and starts hitting you when you're 60 years old and your bones are weak? They break. Those things break very easily. So he could have went back home if he wanted to. Nobody would have said anything against him. They would have understood. So right then and there, as he was looking at these cops, kind of looking at him menacing, he had the choice. He could go back home or he could continue. What do you think Gandhi did? Well, between the comfort zone, going back home like a complete loser, or continuing on his journey fighting the system, Gandhi decided to keep on. And that is what he did. For the next 24 days, he kept on going towards the Arabic Sea. And as he reached the Arabic Sea, thousands and thousands of people, Indians and journalists from America, they joined him on this journey. They saw what he was doing, they got inspired, they followed him, they made pictures of him, they drew. No, it was the 1930s, I'm pretty sure they had photo apparatus back then, maybe not iPhones, but they definitely had the ability to make pictures. So they did that, and they documented how Gandhi, on April 5th, he went to the beach of the Arabic Sea, and as he did, he took not a pinch of salt, but he took a huge lump of white salt, he held it in his hand, and he lifted it up in the air in triumph. Today, if he had done that, there would have been 100 million views on YouTube of the whole thing. Excuse me. It was that big of a deal. They said, the media afterwards said that he had shook the... I cannot remember the exact quote, but they basically were saying this was a big victory against the British rule. That right there. And this was a great strategy when it comes to sleep as well. How? Well, this is what I call, I've actually written here, Gandhi's, maybe you can see it, Gandhi's power move. And you may have heard of this actually. He calls it non-violence. Non-violence. And why? Why is non-violence good when it comes to sleep specifically? Well, now I'm actually reminded of something that I think you'll find really valuable as it relates to the non-violence approach of Mahatma Gandhi. So let me share with you. When I was back in the 90s, when I was in kind of in my jumping rooftop period, when I was jumping on rooftops all the time, when I had a little bit of a break from jumping rooftops, I was eating pizza with my parents at a pizza shop. So we were there, we were eating slices of pizza outside, and as I was drinking a nice glass of orange juice, this bee came up to me and to my orange juice and started buzzing. What do you think I did? Well, I was just 6-7 years old back then, and I was terrified of bees. So what I did was I started waving my hands and trying to inch my way a little bit, and at the same time wave my hands easily to try to remove that bee. And what do you think happened to the bee? It started buzzing even louder, it started getting more aggressive, which is exactly what happens at night. If you try to block all the thoughts that you might be having, they start buzzing even louder, don't they? They start coming even stronger, more charged, more negative, and it seems maybe almost like it becomes more and more difficult the more you try to push them away. So maybe you've tried, maybe you've even tried meditating or ASMR or something else, and still for some reason you could not block these thoughts away. As soon as you remove the podcast or whatever you were listening to, those negative thoughts about not being able to sleep or some stress or anxiety about the next day, maybe they came back. So why did that happen? Here's why. Or before I say why that happens, going back to my story with the bee. So I was inching away, the bee was buzzing around, just like those negative thoughts about sleep during the night. And then my dad said something very profound. He said, just let the bee buzz. And I thought to myself, okay, why don't I just let it buzz? And I was scared, but I stayed right there with my glass of orange juice, and I noticed, you know what the bee did as soon as I let it buzz? I didn't try to back away. I didn't try to block it by listening to a podcast and tuning that buzzing out. Instead, I just listened to it, and as soon as I did, something magical happened. The bee, it went on the glass, it took a sip of orange juice from one of the orange drops from the glass, and then it flew away. And I realized as soon as you let it buzz, as soon as you let something annoying buzz, it goes away. Same with your thoughts at night. And same thing with the thoughts that you might be having at night, those negative or uncomfortable, annoying, let's call them, thoughts. Let's wrap them up in a nice bow tie of annoyingness, because they are annoying. Or not being able to sleep, or things about the next night. They are totally annoying. I know it. I've been there, done that. I know how it feels. The big thing is this: allowing them to buzz makes them go away, makes them fade away. And that is exactly what Mahatma Gandhi did. That is the power of non-violence. Not trying to remove the negative thoughts, not trying to block them away by meditating or exercising during the you don't exercise during the night, right? Hopefully not, because I've heard that even people trying to exercise themselves and put themselves in a more tired state during the night. Definitely don't do that. But that is what Gandhi did. Non-violence. It helped him, and it helps sleep, because, as Gandhi said, non-violence is the most powerful weapon in your arsenal. He didn't say it when it comes to sleep, but it definitely works when it comes to having a good sleep at night. Tested and experimented on myself. This shit works. And by the way, if you want to find out specific exercises that I did and sometimes still do, if I ever find myself in a negative or bad thoughts before sleep kind of mode, what I do every single time in order to let those annoying thoughts buzz and help them just dissipate, you can check out, I will leave a link down below where you can read about that. Alright? Sounds good? Fantastic. So, let those thoughts buzz. Like, imagine Imagine you were me and you were in that pizza restaurant and you were listening to that bee buzzing around. Yeah, it's annoying, it's buzzing, but you're okay with it. You're cool to listen for that for just a minute or two or so, because you know once you do, the more you do, the more it will dissipate, the more that buzzing will start to go softer and quieter until you feel that nice drowsy state and you start falling asleep, and then you have a restful night, baby. That's the goal. That's what you're gonna have. You're in good hands and you are gonna have a good sleep. I don't know if it's gonna be tonight, I cannot promise that, but I can promise you're gonna have a normal restful sleep. As soon as you keep going, as soon as you don't give up on this, you have everything you need in you to do this. Now, with that being said, let's wrap things up here. Last thing I wanna mention is this. Right now, you kind of have two choices. You could either continue watching some of the previous episodes that I've uploaded, or some of the newer ones if you're tuning in from the future, or you could stick for a minute more, where I give you kind of a preview of who is our next character. We have a mystery character tuning in on January 20th, and can you guess who it is? I'm gonna give you a hint right now. This is a character who, 12 years old, he was in his parents' backyard at the back of his house, and he had made a rocket from a plastic Coca-Cola bottle and a cardboard box, and using some chemicals as fuel, he was about to try and set that rocket into the air. And today what this man does, it very closely relates to what he did as a child. So could you guess? Can you guess who this character we're gonna have on the How to Sleep Like a Baby series is? If you can, comment down below. I'm very curious if you can guess who it is in the next 7 days. If you do, I'm gonna read your name on our next episode at the beginning. Alright? Sounds fair enough? It does? Fantastic. So, with that said, my name is Vulcan. You are amazing. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'll see you very, very soon. Goodbye.